Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Friday edition of the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with you on this fine Friday evening, and it has started snowing. God help us all. I'm not ready for this, but hopefully we got a good show lined up for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Lately, for the past several years, you can hardly turn on your television on any cable channels or whether you have cable dish or whatever without seeing a paranormal show. And of course, everybody wants to do some investigating, but I think everybody has kind of a skewed idea about what paranormal investigating means. It's not just fun and games. There's lots of gravity to go along with that choice to paranormal investigate, and risks not only to your body, but to your soul. So we're going to get into that tonight, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Portal. So hang on, we are going in. So tonight's show is about paranormal investigating, and those of you on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live didn't hear anything there, but I actually play on our YouTube feed. I play an intro at that point, so it's dead air to you guys, and I apologize for that, but I haven't figured out how to make it go both places yet. So I'm working on that, but here we are. Patty Wack says he's hanging on, or she's hanging on, so apparently, somebody's listening. That's all I'm saying. How you guys doing? And great to see all you guys in the chats tonight. The chat rooms are filling up. Of course, I'm following Freaky Friday, so it's already a full house up in there, which is awesome. But I see people trekking into our YouTube pages, or our YouTube page as well. So it's filling up there. Lots of you guys there. So thank you all for being here and being a part of what I'm doing here on the Portal. And I also would like to say that make sure to tune in tomorrow night. We have a new entry into the Portal. His name is Jim Mount, and he's a UFO contactee and investigator. So should be a really cool show, and just some really, in the time that I talked to Jim, it was just amazing, the amount of information he's got, the ideas he has, the perspective he has, the information he has. So I'm really excited to bring that show to you, because it's one of the things that, it's hard to find, good people to represent different phenomena. And I'm really thrilled that Jim agreed to come on the show and be on the show. So he will be here tomorrow night, right at the same time, 7 p.m. Pacific time, here on the Portal on TFR Live, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, or you can watch it live on our YouTube page at youtube.com/Paranormal Portal. So that's coming up tomorrow night. So very exciting stuff. But tonight we're going to talk about paranormal investigating and the dangers associated therein. Now, again, getting back to popular culture, we see these shows, and these shows are awesome. The people get a location, they talk about it, they load up their vehicles, they jump in their cars, they go, and they unpack their vehicles, set up cameras, strategize for 2 minutes, and boom, they got evidence all over the place. It's amazing. And they wrap it all up, go home, and wait again till next week. And what's not to love, right? Because it's, the idea is that, these things are all out there just waiting to be explored and discovered. Now, there are lots of pitfalls that go along with this kind of pursuit in life. First and foremost, I think that what often gets overlooked on these, except unless you watch Ghost Adventures, and I do watch Ghost Adventures, I sometimes find their approach is a little, sometimes a lot questionable, sometimes a little questionable, but I think it's entertaining, and I've watched it ever since its beginnings. What I find interesting on that is that, they run around with these respirators on, but you can hardly blame them, because they're in these terribly dilapidated, dusty places full of allergens and asbestos and God only knows what else. So that's the reality of it, is that, it's probably good to protect your health, because a lot of the locations that they investigate on these shows, and a lot of locations where people try to go, are decommissioned buildings, decommissioned hospitals, decommissioned prisons, asylums, et cetera, nursing homes. And they're left to rot. Those buildings are not being maintained at all in most cases. And, you're exposing yourself to all kinds of pathogens and hazards, not to mention structural hazards, of course. So obviously, it's a bit of you're taking things into your own hands when you're going into those buildings anyway. And I'm sure that there's probably 15 disclosures and releases that they have to sign before they even step foot in them. Which I can't blame anybody that has those locations that, look, I don't want to get sued, but here you go. So that's the obvious stuff. Of course, you're going into these places. You have to take precautions for your safety, for your well-being, for the well-being of your team, for the well-being of your equipment, et cetera, et cetera. The other parts of it is that it's not just entertainment. It's not just entertainment to show up someplace. And if you think about it from the vantage point of why are these things here? What are they, first of all? Well, sometimes they're human spirits. Sometimes they used to be people. There used to be, maybe they were in that nursing home. Maybe they died in that hospital. Maybe they had been through a tragic, and watched their loved ones come and mourn over them and then leave and they don't know what the hell's going on. So then these weird states. Maybe it was their house, maybe, for whatever, maybe the property was where they had a family farm. So this is a place where they're in some kind of state. And generally I kind of presume or assume that in a lot of cases, it's kind of a confused state. It's not really an active, like I'm just here having my coffee looking out the window. It's probably akin to, why am I here? What's going on? It's probably akin to maybe having dementia or maybe having Alzheimer's and maybe not really being sure about what's going on. And, it's got to be a state of real anxiety for them. And perhaps it's been suggested to me that in a lot of cases, spirits almost go dormant in a location until people start showing up. So in a lot of these dilapidated, old, abandoned, forgotten buildings, the spirits are possibly, and this is from a psychic, his name is Sean, he's been a great friend of the show, he's suggested that a lot of times the spirits go into dormant. They're just not really active, and maybe they kind of suspend themselves. Maybe they're in just a state of standby, for lack of a better term. It's that fall air, ladies and gentlemen. But they're not actually active, but then people come in. So is it the energy of the living that activates them? Is it the energy of the psychic energy of the people? I don't know, but they may activate, and then they don't know who you are. They don't know why you're there, and so they're in a state of agitation. They may attach to people. They might attach to you if you investigate that location. You might remind them of someone they knew in life, and they're going to latch onto you because that's the first thing that makes sense to them, that they're seeing somebody. Maybe you represent something they remember. Maybe you look like a spouse, a child, a cousin, something that they can recall. So they latch onto you and they start following you home, and then they get stuck in your house and not really sure what the hell's going on. So there are precautions that are necessary in order to successfully paranormal investigate. And we're going to be getting Dan Pruitt back on the show, I think the 24th. Let me look at my notes here. But Dan is our resident paranormal investigator, and then we have a few of them in our listener audience as well. MCAT is another one who's contributed a lot to the show. But I just got stacks of things over here after moving the studio. Everything's in flux, rather. Yeah, Dan will be on the 24th of November, and we're going to get some great best practices from Dan as far as paranormal investigating. He's been on a couple times before, but these things may follow you. How do you protect yourself? How do you shield yourself? And shielding is a great thing to bring up in terms of paranormal investigating. You're going into a location. You're kind of wide open. You have to protect yourself, whether that's through prayer, whether that's through ritual, whether that's through magical talismans that you wear or crystals or something. You have to protect yourself to create a barrier, and you have to go in with the mindset that you're not allowing anything to attach with you. Now, on the popular shows, a lot of times it's use my energy, use our energy to come through. And I have a real problem with that personally, because you shouldn't be volunteering that connection. And I understand why perhaps those guys do it, is because they have a TV show. They kind of have an obligation to get something going on, because people don't want to watch a 2-hour show of dusty hallways and dripping, peeling paint. They want things to happen, so they try to inspire those things to happen. And maybe that's the real big liability about being celebrity and having investigating shows. But they volunteer themselves, like, use my energy, take my energy, come through us, It's like, oh my God. I think that's incredibly risky. Even if you do prepare yourself, once you invite whatever is there, that's almost the same thing as a Ouija board at that point, because you're saying, whatever you are, come through me and let your message be known. And so I don't know if you're familiar with the show at all, you know how absolutely in love with the Ouija boards I am. And quite honestly, I don't think that they're inherently evil like a lot of people think, but I think if they're used irresponsibly, you're going to have real problems. But when you open yourself up, you are inviting that energy to come get energy through you or to you or whatever. And that creates a connection as well that you have to make sure that you can cleanse and break away. So those are some things as well. The other parts that are risky is that you don't know what's there. If you're going to investigate a location, a lot of investigators do a whole lot of background before they do an investigation to try to ascertain what they're dealing with. There's an old saying, only fools rush in. And that you couldn't be more foolish than to rush in thinking you're going to help somebody with their problem without having any idea what you're going to be bumping up with. It could be a full-fledged demon or something worse. It might just be a confused spirit. It might just be nothing. It might be banging pipes. You don't know. But a lot of investigating ahead of time before you go into a location is absolutely paramount, because you need to know what you're confronting and what to expect. And that is also important in that every kind of entity has its own nuances. And again, I'm going to refer to Sean, who has said there is no one-size-fits-all with the paranormal. There is no one approach. There is no one way to keep spirits from being a problem. And by spirits, I mean spiritual entities. I'm not just saying human spirits. I'm saying spiritual entities or entities that we acknowledge as spirit. So there's a lot of things that go into this that can be liabilities. And a lot of people are starting to get voice recorders, and they're starting to get EMF meters, and they're starting to go investigate everything. Let's go investigate the bathroom. And I tell you, I've seen some demons in there. But you know what I'm saying? They're going in there. And so here's the other part, ladies and gentlemen, is that when you start investigating, and this is something Dan has brought up on his shows, he has one cardinal rule with his investigating, even when he's had activity in his own home, is that he will never investigate his own home. And the reason for that is when you investigate your own location, you are creating a dialogue. You are creating a connection. You are creating an encouragement of the activity of the spirit. So when you create that encouragement, one of the best ways to get rid of mundane types of hauntings is just to ignore them. The idea is that if you ignore them, they'll get bored and go find somewhere else to go, because a lot of times spirits just want to be acknowledged. And if they're not being acknowledged, if they're not having that basic need met, they may go somewhere else. But when you investigate your own home, you're creating that connection. Like, if anybody's here, talk to me. I want to know, who are you? What is your name? How old are you? You're creating a dialogue. You're creating a connection. You're creating a permission for that activity. And there again, once you engage in that, you have to know how to shut it down. And so I thought that was very profound on Dan's part when he mentioned that he doesn't investigate his own home. He had some things going on. He believed something followed him home from an investigation. And I was like, well, did you find out? He's like, nope, that's my cardinal rule, is I never investigate my own home. And I see the wisdom in that. I thought that was incredibly wise, because you don't want to encourage that. You don't want to create that connection. You don't want to create that permission for an acceleration or a ramping up of activity. So good advice. So you don't know what you're bumping into. You don't know, what the state of things are, and you need to have a lot of tools in your toolbox. I am personally of the opinion, and I've shared this a few times on the show in the past, is that if you're, oh, thank you, Don. If you are going to investigate, you should have a sensitive or a psychic with you. And the reason being, and everybody and their brother's psychic, right? And, just ask them. But you know what I'm saying? There are some people out there that are truly gifted, and the psychics are not rare. I do believe that we are all psychic. However, there's a lot of people claiming to have a lot of knowledge they don't have. And I would be careful who you choose. But make sure it's somebody you vetted, because you need to know if someone needs help in a haunting situation, in a situation where there's a lot of activity. A lot of times they're just reaching out for help. They're like, I don't know what's going on. I don't like this. I want to go. They just want to be released. They want to cross over. Or they don't really know they're dead and they need to be convinced that they need to cross over. And so these are things that, that's my minion in the other room, by the way, in case it's coming through the mic. These are things to bear in mind in investigative situations. And when you have a psychic, that you believe in, that has experience, they can help to cross over spirits that are stuck. I can't think of anything worse than to be a spirit stuck in a rotten building, just staring out a wall. And sometimes it's really bizarre, because some spirits, they get stuck in an actual location in a house, like the corner of a basement, a subterranean basement. They're just stuck there. And why? I don't know. I can't quite get my head around why there. But I think that it doesn't necessarily mean that they're stuck by virtue of being stuck there. I just think that they're stuck here and they don't know what's going on. And so they're stuck in a confused frame of mind, not because they are, in some sort of imposed purgatory. So they need someone that can connect to them, and say, you need to cross over this, all the people you loved are gone, or the people you love want you to be happy, cross over, and to help them, whether through ritual, through prayer, or whatever, to cross over. So, I wouldn't let anybody investigate anything that I have without that psychic connection on the team, because that's going to be key and important. And I think that everybody investigating should be going into it with the idea that they want to help. Everybody wants to get that, the holy grail of amazing footage, or the disembodied spirit, or the amazing EVP. I mean, everybody wants that, because I think those of us that are enthusiastic about the paranormal want to prove to the world, look, we're not crazy. This stuff really exists. This stuff is really happening. And to be able to bring evidence to the table and maybe get your own show. There are those people that are motivated for that reason. They want their 15 minutes. They want their, their own series or their own show or whatever. They want to be the next Zach Baggins. And that's fine. But I think that also the motivation should be to help, to help those people that are stuck, that are in those confused states, to move on. And, I know some people are really okay with spirits being around, and I think that's wonderful. And I think that we need to be, because we live in a world where we're swimming in them, but I think when spirits have crossed over, they certainly can return at will. They aren't just over there or over here. I don't quite subscribe to the whole idea that they have to wait till the veil is thinner, but I think the difference is that spirits that have crossed over can come back as long as they have that strong emotional attachment to people that are still here, or a place that is still here. So they may go in and stop in on their favorite pub, or, their garage where they used to build stuff, or the house where they grew up. They may be able to come and go and do that. But perhaps when the veil is thinnest, which is around this time of year, then they can pass freely. They don't need to have that connection in order to make that transference. I'm only assuming. I have no idea for sure. But, I think that, whenever you're investigating, it's important to help. It's important to try to help these people that are stuck to be released. And so that's what we're going to get in tonight, and that's what we are getting into tonight, is this kind of thinking and this and the philosophies behind this, because it's not just let's go get a camera, let's get a voice recorder, a flashlight, an EMF detector, and go, make some videos. It can be, it certainly can be, but I think to go into that without acknowledging the potential risks of that to either you or those you care about, because if something tags home with you, it may decide that you're not the best target, but it might, like your significant other better, or, if you have children at home or whatever, you have an important responsibility to do this responsibly so that you don't introduce those things you love to the hazards that are out there. And quite honestly, there's a whole spectrum of things out there, in my opinion. There isn't just one or two. There's whole diverse populations of things, from, the mundane to even little energetic nature spirits, all the way up to, what we would have considered demigods in our ancient past. So the whole spectrum is out there, and perhaps gods even for several religions. But my point is that, be careful. It's not just the newest reality show. It's not just the newest trend. That when you are doing this, it needs to be done with a sense of responsibility, because you are dealing with other life, with other consciousness, and it should be done responsibly and respectfully. So that's my foreword, my leading ideas about this topic, and some things that I wanted to throw out there in the beginning, it is easy to get lost in the idea that it's just it's a 10-minute video and you'll get amazing stuff. You go home and then you go talk to your friends at the pub about it or whatever, or the bar. But there's so much more to it, and I think all of these considerations get lost because you turn on the TV and there they are, and then you turn it off and they're done, and a lot of the subtleties and nuances of it aren't discussed. But that's what the portal's for, ladies and gentlemen, to bring y'all a new gnosis. I'm borrowing that from Beyond the Veil, the gnosis of the paranormals. So I hope you guys are in the mood for some good tales and good conversation tonight. The phone line is open. This is Friday, Saturday night, so if you want to call in, I would love to hear from you. If you have some ideas or things that you would like to share, please do. It's 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998. If you are across the pond in the UK, and I was looking at our YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, and the UK is our second biggest audience for the portal. The US, of course, is first, but I would have expected Canada. I really would have. But the UK is coming in a strong second and a really powerful showing. And I have to thank you guys in the UK. That's really awesome. It's great to see that you guys have been checking out the YouTube channel. That's my metrics for the most part, to seeing where you guys are out there that are listening. But I was just thrilled to see the UK was so strongly represented there. So very cool. But if you're calling from the UK, it's 44203-393-2871. Again, 44203-393-2871. So those are all the numbers to get in touch with us. But let's say you got something you want to share. You have a paranormal encounter of your own and you'd rather not be on the air. That kind of freaks you out. Then feel free to email. I love getting emails from you guys. In fact, I got to check the email. I thought I had one that I had to read tonight. But if you want to email something of your own to have shared on the show, and if you can be anonymous, you don't have to name yourself, but just let me know. Just email your story or your account or your thoughts to paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. And I would love to share whatever's happened to you on our show. And we've had some really great feedback on the YouTube video comments as well about things that have happened. And one of which came out of South Africa, which is really cool. And I'll read that when we come back from the break because I thought that was really fun. It's neat to hear about these things that are allegedly occurring all across the world. And this one in specifically has to do with cryptids. And it was in response to our week ago Saturday show with Shell Dion. But very cool account that this person's family experienced. And we'll get into that on the other side. Always please make sure to spread the word about the portal. We are growing really, really amazingly. I started the portal several years ago just as a radio show, but we're starting to really get a lot of traction on YouTube now, which is really fun. And it's fun to meet that new audience as well. But you guys have been amazing spreading the word about the portal to so many people, and thank you for doing that. But if you belong to a paranormal group and you think they might enjoy the portal or might want to help share some knowledge on the portal, that's great too. I'm always open to getting referrals about guests as well. If there's someone you want to hear interviewed, let me know. But I forgot what else I was going to say, but we'll be right back after these messages, ladies and gentlemen, for more of the Paranormal Portal. Don't go away. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and we are cruising the night away. And I got the ghost investigator thing cooking here on the side on my laptop, so we'll see if that has anything to spit out tonight. So far, it's been real quiet, though. So nothing so far. But before the break, I mentioned this comment that we got on our YouTube page, and this was in response to our episode from last week with Shell Dion. The wolf people versus and dog men, not versus. It wasn't like a matchup or anything. They weren't head to head, but you know what I'm saying. The differences in that. But it was a really cool comment, and this is from Minerva Pakulev. Is my best pronunciation, but she said, "I grew up with the story of my grandpa who bought a calf from his neighbor. He carted the purchase home, and when he reached the gate to his farm, he saw a big cow-sized wolf in the road, blocking his way. Long story short, he was convinced he saw a werewolf. I laughed it off because we don't even have wolves in southern Africa. However, as I got older and encountered the strange and unusual for myself, Grandpa may have really seen something terrifying." And that's the thing, you know, how many of those yarns are floating out there where it's so easy to dismiss. It's just so easy to go, yeah, big wolf, gotcha. Grandpa's been hitting the sauce again. You know, it's so easy to just, whatever, you know, it doesn't fit. It doesn't seem like that could be possible. But people do see things that defy explanation all of the time. And I think it's probably not as uncommon as we think it is. It's just most people are reluctant to ever talk about it because who's going to believe it, you know? But I love the fact that those dialogues are happening now, whereas, you know, in 5-10 years ago, it was still pretty tough to have those discussions because it would still be like, oh yeah, you saw a ghost, okay, you know. But now people are having these discussions, and I think that's really cool, and I'm really honored that Minerva left that comment. Thank you, Minerva. If you happen to be listening to this episode, I really appreciate it. And it's really cool to think that somebody from South Africa is listening to the show. It's a global audience here on the Portal, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm absolutely honored. Thanks a bunch. So I just thought that was fun. I wanted to share that with you guys. So here we go. Let's get into some of these tales of people investigating and what they've encountered. Millie says, "Thanks for being there, Brent." It's my pleasure. My pleasure. And special hello to all you guys from the TFR chat room and the YouTube chat room, youtube.com/paranormal portal. If you want to see the portal happening live, you want to see me doing the magic that it is that I do, head over to YouTube and check it out, or stay on the TFR. A couple amazing chat rooms with just some phenomenal dialogue and great people. Both places. It's just, I would love to be able to have full conversations as I do this, but I can't multitask at all. So I do glance at them from time to time. So I'll be seeing what you guys are saying. But I got Doc is here in the TFR chat room, keeping an eye on things. At least he was. I don't know. Maybe he's not anymore. But Pixie's, of course, taking care of the YouTube one. So I guess we got it covered. And I'm sure they'll let me know if something comes up I need to see. But thank you guys all for being here. And thank you both for helping to mind the store. Oh, I see Ken's in there too. Okay, Ken. And Ken's our listener from Australia. So, and Ken, I hope you got that snake thing figured out. Last I heard, Ken had a brown snake, which is not a good thing in Australia. I don't know much about Australian snakes, but he had a brown snake sneak through, and I think that's one of those where it can kind of kill you as it looks at you. But I think that, oh, thank you. I guess we got a phone call, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to the phone. It's coming from the United Kingdom here. Area code, United Kingdom, you're on the air.
Hello, Brent. Hi, it's Ian Hawks.
Oh, how you doing, brother? It's been a long, long time since I heard from you. How you been?
Brother, I'm good, you know, more or less, I guess. Good, more than bad. You? How have you been?
I've been doing good. I've been doing I'm not a winter person, and I'm having kind of a seasonal affective disorder right now because the white stuff is flying, and I'm like, no. So I've had to put the shorts away and my flip flops, and I'm I'm a little sad, but other than that, I'm happy.
Right.
So what's on your mind tonight, brother?
Totally still. Yeah, no, just calling in to say hello. Haven't got much this evening. Just calling in to say hello, let you know what's been happening. I tore my tendon, which was why I was out of action for a little while.
Oh, geez, how'd you manage that?
Got a fragment of bone stuck in it. I'm not sure how paranormal that is. Sorry, brother.
How'd you manage that?
I was waitering at a hotel, and my foot just went. So maybe that was some kind of paranormal activity, because I literally just fell over. It was like something came and kicked me in the back of the my left tendon.
Oh, brutal! Is that, do you have to have a surgery, or is that just a rest kind of thing?
It was a rest. I had to rest for months. I didn't end up going back to work, obviously. It's just still here in my house. Kind of rent rooms sometimes as well. But I've been seeing in the chat that somebody is saying that they can see dead people. A lady, I think it's a lady called Earth Daughter.
Okay.
So I'm really interested in that, and I'm trying to hopefully inspire her if she can call in, because I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, well, that's one of the cool things about the show, is that we've made connections with all of this entire community of psychic people, and it's been really cool to hear, the world through their eyes, to have a chance to glimpse it through the what they experience, how do they experience. And of course, Deb comes on the show and does readings. Sean is a person that's been a guest several times and has been a resource to help people that are having issues with paranormal things, as well as Dee Swagger, who's in the YouTube chat. She's been amazing as far as contributing as well, but I'd love to hear from this person and hear what they're experiencing as well. That's exciting stuff, and that's something.
Dee Swagger, Yoda.
Uh-huh. Yoda. Yeah, Dee is awesome.
Yoda, yeah, there is no try. We were chatting, he said, there is no try. We were trying to manifest a ghost behind Don to see if we could see it live. But I'm not sure it actually appeared.
Poor Don. He's going to need to scrape his underwear if that ever happens.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, I'm going to be looking forward to checking out your website and picking up a T-shirt. Walking around with my Paranormal Portal on my chest.
Absolutely, brother. I'd be proud to get a picture of you emblazoned in the Portal logo. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, cool, man. I'll send one in. So I'll give other people a chance to call in now, and it's nice to say hello and catch up again.
All right, brother. Well, love you, and I hope you're doing well and keep healing. And thanks so much for calling in. It's great to hear from you.
Love you too, brother. Love you all in there in chat as well. Okay, see you soon. Bye.
All right, good night. Ian's got the greatest accent. It's like, oh, he sounds so smooth and silky. Oh, well, what do you do? But it's always great to hear from our listeners when you guys have something to say. It doesn't always have to be paranormal. It doesn't have to always be a story to tell. Just your thoughts. Many times people have called in to tell me what they think about a phenomena. And, sometimes they call in to talk about absolutely different things, and that's fine. It's just great to hear from you guys because, in a lot of cases, if it wasn't for the chat rooms, it would just be numbers on a board. But thank God for the chats where you can see you guys talking and sharing ideas. And sometimes they don't have anything to do with the show, which is fine. I'm glad you guys feel that sense of community and just to connect with people that you like. That's really amazing as well. But always wonderful. And thank you, Pixie, for letting me know he was there. I don't look enough, but there's MCAT now. Let's talk to MCAT. How you doing, brother?
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
We're doing good, I think. At least I am. And if I'm speaking for everybody, they're good too.
How are you, Brent?
I'm doing great. How's the road tonight, brother?
Pretty, nice and quiet, just the way I like them.
Where are you right now?
Going across Wyoming.
Wyoming. Is it snowing there?
No.
Okay.
It's cold. We're headed down to Georgia today. We should be there by a couple of days.
Oh, man. God, you get some miles on your belt, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, that truck's able to roll pretty quickly.
So MCAT, I'm glad you called in because tonight, of course, we're talking about investigators and investigations and the dangers of paranormal investigating. What would you surmise would be just a few things that you always are cognizant about or that you've seen go really wrong when people did them wrong?
Well, what I see, because I do get on a lot of YouTube, and I've spent some time on Periscope, and I've seen people just not take it serious enough. Mm-hmm. They're treating it like it's some kind of thrill ride, and I think that's a really bad idea. I've personally, there was a team that went into a house with a young couple who thought they had some things going on. Mm-hmm. And the claims they had were the hallway light would go on and off by itself, and they heard scratching in the wall. So this team comes in, and the hallway light goes on and off by itself, and they hear scratching in the wall, and they say, "You have a demon. Pack up everything and leave. Don't return phone calls. Don't return emails."
Oh no!
So now they're terrified, right? Uh-huh. So we go in and set up. And the same claims. Hallway light goes on and off. Here's scratching in the wall. So the hallway light goes on and off. And we take the switch plate cover off, and the switch plate is toast. The switch is completely fried, and the wiring's not good. So you need to call an electrician. That's what's going on here. Uh-huh. The scratching in the wall. We go outside. And I start looking for holes on the wall, and I look up, and there's a 2-foot hole in the soffit on that wall. So there's an animal in there.
Oh, no. Yeah.
They had other problems, too. The foundation was crumbling on one side. Oh. They had a lot of wiring issues. I mean, this house it would have been cheaper for them to have a demon because they got to call some people in to fix their home. That's what's going on there.
Oh, no. That's too bad.
That's the kind of thing that when you focus more on the paranormal and not on investigating, things like that can happen. So it's important to do your diligence on the investigative side.
That's a great point, and that's phenomenal. I'm so glad that you brought that up because how many, if you were to give it a percentage, how many claims do you find are just normally mundane things that people are just misunderstanding?
Wow, that's a hard question. I'm not sure.
Or are you usually?
I think that you could probably. I don't know. I would say maybe 40-50%.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that people will see or notice or hear and can't find an explanation for. That if you do a little bit of, trying to figure it out, you can kind of come up with an explanation of. Sometimes we're left scratching our head and. It's, we don't really know what to make of that. But a lot of times it's, this door will close by itself and you can find a vacuum and that's tied to maybe another door or maybe a window is opened these are things that are part of the investigative process that I think too many people overlook.
Exactly. And I think that's important to, you have to go into it with a sense of the first thing you do is to try to debunk everything. And then if you can't, then you start the investigating.
Yeah, I think a good way to explain that is if you're looking for something and you have no idea what it is, the best way to go about it is to try and figure out what it is not. And then whatever is left, however improbable, must be the answer.
Yeah. Yeah. The Occam's razor. Yeah, that's exactly right. When you go into a place, what is some of the ways that you protect yourself?
It's usually with prayer.
Okay.
Usually with prayer. I also keep a cross on hand because I'm a baptized Christian. So
okay.
That's the way we go about it. Now, I still have people that follow me. I've got followers, And I'm fine with that. Because in my house, I've got rules.
Right.
And so what I tell everybody is, I know that you're here, and I'm fine with that. And if you want to stay here, that's okay with me, but everybody has to follow the rules, and that's it.
Yep. And it's like a boarding house at that point, right?
Yeah, right. I just wish I could charge rent. That'd be fabulous, but
That's
kind of hard to do.
That's that meme going around.
Kind of hard to do.
Have you seen that meme where the person?
So yeah, I think it's. I think that's what I see too often is not enough people kind of focusing on being a good investigator first,
right?
And then what we can't figure out, maybe that's something else. And I think you said in the past that you think the word demon is overused.
Yeah, I do, extraordinarily.
And I would agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. I think that if it's true that human beings retain their personality after they pass, and I believe it is, think of the meanest person you know. Mm. Now imagine them as an invisible entity that can move at the speed of thought. What would that look like?
A tornado from hell.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, we have to be, I think, incredibly careful when we try and label these things. Now, that's not to say that evil doesn't exist. It's out there. I wholeheartedly believe it is. Mm-hmm. But I think it's more rare than we are defining it.
Right, yeah. It could be just the crabby guy that wants you off his lawn. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that he's from the bowels of hell. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah,
that's true. I think people I don't know, because it's just we're guessing at this point, but
sure.
I think it could be that people could be confused, people could be in denial, mm-hmm. and then somebody might full know well that they're not alive, but they're in their space and you just moved into it and they're not entirely happy with the changes that you're making, and
right. Yep.
Now you're going to get something.
Yep. I hate those drapes. I'm going to move your keys.
I'm going to move your keys. You put all this stuff on the wall. I'm taking it down.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that's very true. And I really appreciate that, because it's great to hear, your insights, having had the boots on the ground for so long, this is perfect that you called in tonight.
Yeah, I saw the show and I'm like, yeah, I should probably call in and
absolutely
say a few things. And now the last thing, real quick here, mm-hmm. I don't want to take all your time.
No worries.
I think you said something about being respectful, and I think that's very important.
Yes.
Because not only are you in your client's home, you could be in their space as well, and it's important not to be swinging a sledgehammer around there, so to speak.
Right.
But on top of that, and this apparently seems to be a badge of honor in the investigator community for paranormal, mm-hmm. unfortunately, because I get asked all the time, oh, do you go to these sites? Do you go to this place? Could have been an old jail or a psych ward or a murder house, and people charge admission to these places.
Yeah.
And I don't go to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't go to them because you don't know the original atmosphere that was in the house when this happened. You don't know what people have brought in with them, different teams that have come in. You don't know what the owner is doing, mm-hmm. that might stir up activity because it's in their financial best interest to do so. And right. The ethical question is, I cannot support somebody who's making a profit off of potentially somebody else's misery.
That's a great point. Yeah, great point. Thank you for sharing that. That's brilliant, because if they're creating an amusement park out of somebody else's misery, then that's a horrible thing. Yeah, and I had never thought about that.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that to the table, brother. That's brilliant.
You betcha. All right, man. Well, I'm going to get back to it. You get back to your thing, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, brother. Drive safe. Great to hear from you. Thank you for calling.
All right, man. I'll see you later.
Okay, love you. Yeah, MCAT's a great guy. And we got another caller here, and this is area code 903. You're on the air.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
This is Earth's daughter.
This is whose daughter? I'm sorry, Sarah's daughter? Oh, hi, how are you?
Earth's daughter. I'm kind of scared to talk about it.
Oh.
I'm kind of sad to talk about it.
Oh, it's okay.
Because I am a full-blooded Native American. I am a Cherokee. That's my tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And the father Jim, I know he's a chief. He also a medicine man. He keep on telling me don't tell nobody about my gift.
Mm-hmm.
He told me my gift is from God. I see. Well, I can't say spirit or ghost around my area because there used to be a battle here between the white men and the Cherokee.
Oh,
and they get mad at me when I say ghosts or spirits. They say, we're not ghosts or spirits. We're a people, too. We live here once. And I say, yeah, and I'm sharing the land with y'all.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And Native Americans believe the land is not from us. The land is from God, and God gave the land to us to live on.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way we believe in.
And that's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful.
When you say about somebody seeing a werewolf, that's skinwalkers. That's what the Native Americans call them, a skinwalker.
Okay.
But really, they is witches.
Mm-hmm.
Because witches can turn their body to any type of animal.
Wow.
When they die.
Okay.
And that's when the skinwalker came, because we call them skinwalkers.
Okay.
Our Native American keeps away from the demons. We never go in there with demons. We go to the good side. Like, we believe in spiritual world. We also believe in I'm sorry, you're a little bit shaken.
Oh, that's okay. You're doing great.
We believe in God and Jesus, too.
Mm-hmm.
And we have people calling us aliens and the N-word, whatever, brown skin. Mm-hmm. I can't say it because I don't want nobody getting mad at me.
Sure, right.
And the N-word. And it's not right because we sit there saying, we're not that way. We're a people, too. We got blood. We're not aliens because aliens have different types of blood.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get nervous, I feel somebody rub my back, and I was like, okay, that's my grandmother, because my mom told me the story. She died, I was 3 years old.
Oh.
She has a lung cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And she beat it, but she got sick after that, and she died of it.
Oh.
And my mom told me she's reattached to me the more than the other grandkids, and she's sitting there telling my mom that's my favorite grandchild because that's my early birthday present because I'm born in October, October the 1st.
Oh.
And when I was a little baby, my mom told me what she does is she takes me in her room and said, you live TJ alone, that's my favorite grandchild, you mess with her, I'm going to spank your bottom. And that's my grandmother. She protected of me. And I do have a rough time in my childhood when I was 12 years old.
Oh.
I had somebody had touched me where you're not supposed to be touch a little girl.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And they had tested the area he touched, and they said it's red. And yes, he did touch her because there's fingerprints and stuff. and they took it, and he didn't. My mom took it to him to the court, but the other girl lied. They found out the other girl lied.
Oh.
And I didn't lie.
Right.
Because I didn't.
Sure.
And all my life I have been scared of guys.
Okay, hold
what
on.
happened to me.
Hold on to the line, okay? Because I want to continue this conversation. But we're going to take our break, but please don't hang up. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, with more of the Paranormal Portal here in just a couple minutes. Don't go away. All right, we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Ella, and I'm 10.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart. Just make sure that you're well fed. I'm not talking yet. I'm not talking yet.
Caroline is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that is different from themselves. Her life force, it is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Paranormal Portal, and we are cruising through this Friday night. Some amazing calls. Looks like I just lost the caller that we did have on the line. I'm sorry. It looks like your call dropped. Then you reconnected, then it dropped again. So if you want to continue the dialogue, I'd love to hear from you again, but just call back in. I'll be here waiting. But we are talking tonight about the dangers of paranormal investigating, and thank you, MCAT, and thank you, Ian, for your calls as well. That was really great, and I think we should get into some stories. What do you guys think? What do you think? So, all right. Let's see what these people are experiencing in their encounters. And I'll keep an eye on the call board and see if that call reconnects. So, excuse me. All right. All right, let me see. I'm getting through the fluffy stuff at the beginning here. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's a big fluffy start. Jeez. Okay, so they're investigating the National Hotel in Jackson, California, and it dates back to the 1800s. Guests of the hotel witness many events paranormally, and the total number of entities in the hotel have been documented to be 30 of them. When I arrived, there was a band playing and patrons gyrating on the dance floor to rock and roll and R&B, and one of the songs fit the mood. She blinded me with science. One of the buzzed patrons yelled, "Happy ghost hunting." The HPI investigators were set up, video cameras in all locations on the floors of the hotel, laptops turned on to analyze for EMFs, or EVP rather, and in one you could distinctly hear a female voice say, "Chill," CHILL. I became familiar with a Gauss EMF meter. Another investigator briefed me on a temperature gun, which detects influx of temperature, and you'll see that used a lot of times, ladies and gentlemen, to detect cold spots. And what they are is they're a laser reader. You can just sit in a room, and a lot of people use them when they're grilling or cooking, because you can zap your cooking meat and see what the temperature is. And they come in real handy, but they're used a lot in paranormal investigating to check for cold spots and cold anomalies that shouldn't be there or don't seem to match the environmental ambient temperature. So let's see. When the band and patrons left, the lights went out, and the investigation had access to a lot more rooms. And in one room, which was called the Bordello, I felt a thickness in the air. When leaving this room and returning perhaps an hour later, the thickness was gone. I had a digital camera, and I took pictures of various areas of the hotel, and the method is to take 2 pictures of each area so there's no misinterpretation of the picture taken. The spirits must have been attracted to one of the investigators, and she took many photos with her camera and picked up many orbs in her photographs. She took a photograph of a bath towel in one of the rooms, and an orb appeared in the photo. She snapped another photo of the bed, and another orb appeared. I snapped photos of the same areas, and no orbs appeared in any of my photos. One sustained claim was that our psychic, or intuitive, claimed that a little girl made her presence known and followed one of the investigators. And during this incident, the EMF monitor device was used and witnessed by other investigators. The little ghostly spirit of the girl whispered, "Cindy." Some of the patrons of the bar were curious as to what we were doing, and one person, who I don't know his name, claimed he was a psychic and claimed that there was an angry man walking up and down the hallway and that he was furious. This entity was mumbling gibberish and completely incoherent. This psychic patron claimed that this was a troubled spirit and said that he smoked, our intuitive said that he smoked a cigar and was yelling, "Get out." The patron psychic said he was about 5'10", average age with an ethnic background, and detected that he was somewhat intoxicated. Could you imagine being stuck as a ghost and stuck drunk? Cheap date. Sorry, I don't know what to say to that. I never considered the possibility that could they be stuck in a drunken state or an inebriated state. I guess it's possible. I don't know. Very strange. There was a time he was glass-eyed and standing up against the wall, and someone asked him what's wrong and later told me that he receives headaches when there are too many ghosts around. One of the investigators asked him to leave because we felt he was hindering the investigation. So they got rid of the patron. All right, so this is just basically this happened. Not really exciting. I mean, it's fine, just as far as a checklist of an investigation, but I do see our call is returned. So let's get back to the call here. Hi, you're back on the air. Sorry, we lost you.
Hi, it was my dog. She was sitting on the phone.
Oh, well, welcome back. I'm sorry we had to interrupt your story because
I was trying to explain. Yeah, I was trying to explain how I get the reasons of my grandpa and my grandma.
Uh-huh.
And what is in the past is what happened is my grandpa got mad at this guy and on his friend, he got beat up to death.
Oh, dear.
And my cousin told me it's my fault.
What?
And he came and he said, he came to me and he said, it's not your fault. Because I was about to jump over the bridge thinking it's my fault.
Oh, dear God. Wow.
And he said, don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. And so I listened to my grandpa, and they're shouting at me now because I said spirit.
Right.
They like to say on people call them a person or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I see my grandmother when I was little because nobody didn't play with me when I was little. And I always play by myself because I'm handicapped.
Okay.
And there's two girls was about to come and ask me to play with them. When I kicked the ball moved back to me by itself. And they start running, screaming.
Wow.
And my teacher came towards me and told me, who you're playing with? Because these girls were scared and seeing that ball move. I said, it was my grandmother.
Aww.
And they said, oh. Because she came into me and told me, do not be scared. I'm your grandmother.
That's sweet.
I'm here to watch over you.
Wow, that's amazing.
So since anything happened to me, my family's watching over me. My mom had a cow.
Oh.
Yeah, at least the good thing I didn't ride on the freaking passenger side. My brother was right there kissing the butt.
Wow.
When I laid back, and then there's stuff hit me on the back, but it didn't hurt me. And I feel somebody grab me, and I put a ghost box on because I let my dad understand.
Okay.
And I said, who grabbed me when we had that wreck on a bull? And they said, April. And April is my cousin. And she died of lupus.
Wow.
And now I have lupus.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wow.
And lupus is a part of the disease that will not go away. It attacks a healthy tissue.
Okay.
But the doctor treated it as cancer.
Oh, okay. Wow. So it's pretty harsh.
And I told my mom, when I did YouTube, everything goes to my niece and my nephew because I love them as my own child. I can't have kids.
Oh, that's sweet.
They're my kids. They're my kids. If somebody messing with my nephew and my niece,
you're gonna have
I get mad.
Yeah, well, I can tell who you're going to be a guardian spirit for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful.
I call my nephew Angel, and my sister said, "Oh, that's my angel." Okay. So that is my princess, and Cheyenne is my love bug. And I always call her Love Bug, and that's their nickname. Angel, Little Princess, and Love Bug.
Well, that's wonderful. So it's been a tough road for you, but you sound like a real survivor.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing. Good for you.
I am.
Good for you. Yeah. I mean, life is tough, but it's got to be nice to know that.
Yeah, I have a doll hanging around here.
Uh-huh.
And it starts ringing by itself.
Oh, jeez.
And my dog just looks straight at it, and I had it on camera.
Good for you.
When I was doing live on Mixer because I was playing the game.
Oh, okay.
And I came back I was eating supper, and I came back and see that thing was moving.
Wow.
I said, it don't move. And only one spirit would do that is Tom William.
Oh.
And I'm trying to get everybody to understand by the spirit world.
Yeah.
I thought this one guy said, it's demon. I'm up, no, it's not a demon. There's a good spirit, and there's a bad spirit.
Yeah.
You need to tell what's the part is you need to look straight in the eye of the demon because they can't hide that.
Mm-hmm.
They have red eyes.
Okay.
That's how you can tell between the good spirit and bad spirit.
Oh, okay.
The red eyes you don't want to deal with. If you see the red eyes, you can see this girl running. Because I have two demons coming after me.
Oh, really?
One was in my niece's room because she's telling me there's a boogerman in there because I have wisdom teeth pulled out. And my face was looking like a tick mark.
Oh.
And I was going to lay down in there, and she said, no, it ain't Terry, no, it ain't Terry. Boogerman's in there. Boogerman lived there. I don't want you to go in there.
Wow.
I wrote, Savannah, I thought it was her assassination. I went, Savannah, Boogerman ain't going to get me.
Mm-hmm. Well, very cool.
And she said, I thought, you see this cross here? And she said, uh-huh. You think God would protect me? And she said, yeah. Okay. I went to sleep.
Excellent.
And I see this black figure over me.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's never a good thing.
And I feel like it was a heart attack, and I can't move.
Oh,
I can't
sleep
scream.
paralysis. Right. Yep. That's tough stuff.
And I was up in the air like 2 inches. And when he let go, I went hit hard.
Oh, geez. Wow.
On the bed.
Well, I'm glad you're
okay. And I looked on my side, and there was a chief, and my grandpa was fighting a demon.
Wow, you got a lot of protection. That's
and I went back.
Pretty powerful stuff.
I went back to sleep because I feel safe because
mm-hmm.
I know my tribe is watching on me. I know my family's watching me. My grandma has 10 kids.
Wow, that's
my
a big family.
great-great-grandmother.
Okay. Okay.
My grandma had 7 kids.
Okay. That's a lot of
And my mom said,
big family tree.
yeah, that's a lot of, yeah, it is. And my dad, he found out his mom is full-blooded Indian, but his dad is related to George Washington.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. Well, listen, thank you so much for calling in. That's great. It's great hearing from you tonight. I hope that you call in again and share some more stories. It's amazing. You're a strong person and you've been through a lot, and we really appreciate you sharing some of that with us here on the portal. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful night. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue our journey here, and some great participation tonight. Thank you all for calling in and being a part of the show. That to me is the best part of doing the show, is hearing from you guys, hearing your experiences, hearing your thoughts, and hearing what you have to say on the subjects, because I like to think of the Paranormal Portal as a discussion, and everybody's got a unique perspective and a unique view of what is going on, and I think we all learn from each other. So thank you guys for calling in and being a part of that, and making the portal even better than it was before. It's always better by your guys' participation. So we got about, 9 minutes before break. Okay, so let's get into some of the more of these. See if we can find some good tales. My minion's knocking. Yes. Elijah, are you knocking? I'm not sure. Apparently he's not going to come in, but I thought you'd introduce you to my child, but he's decided not to come in. So anyway, this one is about 3 years ago. My friend Peter and I decided to stay out at my Nan and Pop's farm, which is located just outside of Bathurst, Bathurst, NSW. I think that would be in Australia. Yeah, it is Australia. About a 20-minute drive. The farm's name is Clear Creek. Now, there are quite a few ghost stories out there, considering my distant relatives built the farmhouse 300 years ago. From hearing all of these stories, we decided to go out and investigate for ourselves. So this is one of those, hey, I know where a place that's haunted. Let's go check it out. These are always good setups for really bad stories or bad things happening, but let's see what it says. I personally believe in the spirit world. However, Peter did not. There was one particular story about a paddock, which we call the corn paddock, and there were supposed to have been 100 or so Aboriginals slaughtered in the corn paddock back in the day when the Aboriginals were slaves to the white people. So we decided to camp in the corn paddock. Oh, what a horrible thing. Ooh, stuff is so heavy, man. Our history is just ugly. About 3 hours after the sun had gone down, we were sitting around the campfire, and we just started to keep ourselves warm when we heard someone or something moving in the bushes to our rear. And we decided to take a look to see what was going on, but nothing was there. When we retreated back to our campfire to talk about some of the stories we had heard, about an hour or so, we were just about ready to go to bed when we heard the same kind of movement behind us. And this time, we decided to ignore it. But my friend Peter decided for some unknown reason to shout out as loud as he could, "I mock thy spirits." Oh. After he said that, I had a go at him and told him that the spirits were not something to be messed with. With that, a slow wind started to blow, which sent a shiver down my spine. The wind started to pick up and get heavier. With that, we decided to go for cover in the tent, and we had set up. Almost right away, we heard a woman scream, which was quite sickening and ear-piercing. After that, myself and my friend decided not to mess with this anymore and to run all the way home. Ever since this occurrence, I'm a filmmaker, so me and my crew are now shooting documentary for DVD for a local TV station called Ghosts of Clear Creek. If at all you would like to make a reserve booking. Oh, nice. So he pimps the DVD. Yeah, you don't mock the spirits, ladies and gentlemen. You don't push it out there. You know, if you don't respect it, you have no business looking into it at all. You have no business investigating something that you have absolutely no respect for. And I think MCAT kind of nailed it, that it's just the people are treating it like a thrill ride. Like, I'm bored. What should we do? Let's go investigate spirits. Like, that should be entertainment or something. And it's not. It's a very serious pursuit. It's very serious to make contact with beings. And in this case, if it truly was Aboriginals that were slaughtered, what a place of pain, what a place of torment. And if there are spirits stuck in that state, why would you mock them? They've already been through as horrible a thing as you could imagine. And then to go and just make fun of them and try to coax them. You can't expect anything good to come out of that. I don't know what these people were thinking. I guess he wasn't thinking it, but his friend was. But that is just horrible. You don't mock spirits. And actually, that was one of my big criticisms of Ghost Adventures, but I have to admit that they don't do the provocation as much anymore. But they used to do it all the time. Just, come on, show me. And I think that appealed to a lot of people because it was, challenging the spirits as if it was a machismo kind of thing. Like, I'm going to stand up to the spirits. And it just got to be such an ego trip. And it was like, why are you doing that? Why are you pushing people that are already in a state of torment to perform? And what I like to do is to draw a parallel to, what if somebody came into your house, you didn't invite them in there, and you're sitting there just trying to relax, and they're like, hey, move that can. Hey, why don't you vacuum your floor right now? I want you to vacuum. Why is, shut the window blinds. Hey, turn up the TV. Now turn it off. Who would welcome that kind of participation? So you go in with reverence, with kindness, with compassion, and then you're more than likely going to get some kind of response. Maybe. I mean, you're certainly going to get a more positive experience than if you're like, I don't believe you're there. If you're really there, why don't you show me? It's like, why do they have to prove themselves to you? And would they? I mean, if somebody came into my house and said this and I couldn't make them leave, the last thing I'm going to do is entertain them and get them to stay longer. I'm going to ignore the hell out of them until they go away. And as MCAT stated, that, a lot of spirits are the same people they were in life. They're just not in life anymore in the same way. So why would they entertain you? Why would they stick around and perform for you? They already don't want you there. So, but if you go in with kindness and reverence and with a gentle heart, you will probably appeal to them at least in some measure. That doesn't mean they're still going to want to sit around and entertain you, but they may give you something. They may give you some indication that you can have as a piece of proof. But I really don't respect people that go in and expect these beings, whether they were human or otherwise, to perform. That's not what they're already dealing with enough. They've already been through a lifetime of something, and then you're going to come in and ask them to juggle. That's just in poor taste, in my opinion. And you guys can believe what you want, but I think it's just really, really sad. So, boy. All right, so let's continue our journey here and see what else we can find. And now here's another one that I have trouble with, and this one talks about a child haunting. And maybe it's possible. Let's read it and find out. Oh, we only have about a minute left. Wow. I'm not going to start this story yet, ladies and gentlemen. I'll start it on the other side, but we got like a minute before the break. The time just flies. But anytime you're investigating, you got to be prepared. You've got to know what you're getting into. MCAT brought up some great points about looking for the mundane, looking for normal explanations. What one team claimed for sure was a demon and wouldn't come back turned out to be a faulty switch and some rodents. So I had scratching in these walls many times, and not once did I think, oh my God, a demon is in here. I was sure it was a squirrel or mouse or something in the walls. And then I got the cat, and sure enough, boom, he caught a mouse, and that was the end of the scratching in the walls. So So far, only one, but that I know of, unless he ate the other ones, but I don't know. Rodents get in, especially this time of year when it's getting cold outside. They're looking for shelter. They're going to chew their way into wherever they can be warm and to be, to survive the winter. So it's not uncommon for squirrels, rodents, even larger things like raccoons can sometimes burrow underneath people's floors and stuff. So you got to check for those mundane things. But there's the bell. We're going to take our last break of the night, and then we'll be back for a few more stories and some more discussion. And then I will dismiss you at the very end. But don't go away, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the last half hour of the show. Oh my God, it just flies. Again, make sure to check us out tomorrow night. We will be joined by, of course, Don will be here. He'll be helping me keep the machine running of the portal mechanism whirling. I don't know how the hell to spit that out, but I'm doing the best I can. This is off the top of my head, ladies and gentlemen. None of this is scripted, and sometimes it comes out in just a whole train wreck. In my head, that things were going to be much smoother than that, but you hear how that last sentence worked, and it's a mess in here sometimes. I'm pointing at my head to those of you that don't have YouTube on. But thank you guys for being here and being a part of the portal. It's a lot of fun, a lot of great calls, and thanks again. It was Earth Daughter. I was trying to figure out the name, and I apologize, but it was just a really muffled connection for me, and I don't know if it's my headphones or what, but I couldn't understand the name. And I said, whose daughter? Sarah's daughter? I didn't know what she was saying. So I apologize, but you did great. Thank you so much for calling in, and I apologize I screwed up your name. Randy. Hey, Randy, I see you're in the TFR chat. Good to see you. Good to see you. It's been a while. Where you been? I expect a note on my desk explaining. No, I'm just kidding. But Nikki Colombo's in the house, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, Nikki Colombo will be following the portal with her show from Down Under. She's a fantastic new host here on TFR. Just a wonderful, light personality, just radiant. She's doing a fantastic job, and we're absolutely thrilled to have her here in the TFR family, especially on this Epic Friday lineup. So definitely stick around and check her out. She's a pretty phenomenal lady. So we are talking tonight about the dangers of paranormal investigating. And, you know, of course, there's plenty of dangers to it. It's not just, it's not just, hey, let's, we can either go have a beer or let's go check out the cemetery. You know, it's not like something you do for entertainment. It's you are dealing with something, somebody, possibly some bodies and some beings. And, you know, just hopefully you go into it with the right intentions, because it's not just something to do when you're bored. It's a very serious pursuit for a lot of people who are investing their blood, sweat, tears, their emotion, their passion, and, you know, the financial responsibility of trying to accommodate doing investigations and, you know, making sure that they're able to help a lot of people. So if you're going to investigate, just go into it with the right intentions and try to help. I mean, I think it's wonderful that more people want to investigate. I think that, you know, the amateur investigators are going to find some of the most amazing things. They may figure out something that, you know, has eluded mainstream science, you know, about something about these energies and that has been missed, or they'll pick up some dynamic that's never been observed before. So, you know, I think the more people that are out there looking into this, the better for us all, because it's you know, the more eyes that are looking on a phenomena, the more information that's going to come back to us all. Now, I would warn you all, don't think that you're going to watch some YouTube videos and that you're going to see how it's all done. I think there's a lot of information on YouTube, but there's also a lot of bad information on YouTube as far as paranormal investigating and even paranormal investigations. There's some fantastic shows out there, people that are really putting a lot of heart into it, and then there's some really corny shows out there. So, you know, like anything you find on YouTube, you know, with a grain of salt, isn't that the saying? How does that go? You know what I'm saying. But we are getting into that a little more. We got a little less than a half hour left of the show tonight, so let's see what else we can find. Now, this was the one I couldn't read prior to this. Now, this one's talking about a child spirit. And ladies and gentlemen, many times on the show I've talked about this, but here's the thing. I hope with my heart of hearts that there aren't these pure, sweet, gentle little children that are just wandering around this world, somehow displaced or abandoned. I just really want to believe, I really have to believe, I guess. I want to believe it, and I hope that it's true, that if there's anything good, kind, and just in this universe, that, if there's anything divine and loving, that there wouldn't be children's spirits left, in this state of confusion and torment, that somebody, something would bring them home, whatever that means. But nonetheless, there are plenty of reports of children's spirits. I would just like to caution everyone listening, if you hear a child's voice, don't assume it's a child. Not that it couldn't be. I've resigned myself to the fact that it could be, but it could also be something that wants you to lessen your guard, to open yourself up. And as decent people, when we see a child in need, it's nearly genetically programmed into any normal person to help a child. And so we see a child that's in a state of confusion and sadness, we want to help it. We open ourselves up. I'll help you. Come here. Come with me. Attach to me. I'll help you. And that's just, it starts out with a child's voice and ends with claws and exorcisms. So just be careful. Child spirits to me are a big red flag, but not that they couldn't be really child spirits, but they could also really not be child spirits. So I'll leave it there. So this one goes, as I left my home, I threw on the X-Files theme song because I knew I was headed for a ghost hunt. Well, that's setting the mood, ladies and gentlemen. All right, this time I engaged my ghost hunting activities. I drove to Donovan Turner's home. Donovan Turner is the founder / paranormal investigator lead of a paranormal investigating team, and his wife is the case manager. The day is the 24th of February in 2007. The time is 1700 hours. Now, is this really long? Yeah, it is another one of these. Never mind, I'm not going to read this. It's just another, this is what we saw. These stories are great, and they're great to get an idea of what a paranormal investigation looks like or should look like, because they do a really good job in those stories documenting the time, and how things went and all of that. But they don't make for really entertaining reading. They're more of a best practices and what was observed. So this is for those who wonder if some things experienced can ever be explained away. Almost everyone has heard of the tell of Crybaby Bridge. And it's funny because this one is coming out of Ohio, which is where D Swiger is from, one of our listeners, but where it seems like Ohio has all kinds of crazy things going on in the whole state. It's a pretty active place, but apparently there's a Crybaby Bridge in Ohio. It says location will not be given to preserve the privacy of the people who live around the area, but it is said that a young unmarried lady had given birth to her lover's child, and when she presented the child to him, he turned them both away, wanting nothing more to do with the mother or the child. The young lady, being distraught and not able to turn to her family for help, it was time... Oh, my God, I hate where this story's going. It was a time when it was considered shameful to have a baby out of wedlock. So she decided to jump from a bridge with her baby. Oh, I hope that's not true. My God. Ugh. They supposedly drowned and were never seen again. They say that if you're on the bridge on moonless nights, you can hear the baby crying and see the mother as a white light walking up the shore of the river searching for her baby. That is so horrible. Oh, terrible, terrible story. There's so many legends like this out there, though. I'll get into that in just a second here, but I decided to investigate this story and to see or hear for myself if this was true, a true haunting, or if it was just another legend. My friend and I arrived at the bridge at around 11 p.m., and we sat and listened to the wind and the river, and at first nothing, and then we heard what did sound like a baby crying. We also saw what appeared to be a white light moving up the shoreline and then disappearing at almost the same time as the baby stopped crying. We did a little further investigating, and we found the causes for both the light and the crying. The crying was the sound of peacocks from a nearby residence, with the light was a reflection of headlights off of a piece of metal near the riverbank from cars on a nearby road. It would seem that the lights from the approaching cars would disturb the peacocks, causing them to cry out, which while on the bridge would almost sound like a baby crying. And once the car passed, the peacocks would quiet down and the white light would disappear. And that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And, I realize this is the Paranormal Portal, but this is a great demonstration of debunking and what to look for, how to look at your surroundings, see what's going on, know your surroundings well enough to know that there's peacocks in the area, and, start putting things together. And that's wonderful. So for a long time, it was just this legend of a crying baby and a white light looking for the baby, which is a horribly sad, but romantic kind of story, I guess, as far as legends go. But there was an absolutely mundane, normal explanation for why this was happening. And that's really important when you're investigating. You have a responsibility to the people that you're investigating for to try to find these things, to try to find answers. A lot of cases, you're going to go in and, like MCAT was talking about, finding a bad switch, finding where the varmints are coming in, scratching in the walls. And in this case, to be able to talk to the locals and say, what, this is what's going on. We were able to track this, and this. And, it kind of restores a sense of peace in some ways. And believe me, I love a world that has magic and mystery and paranormal and fantastical things happening in it. But at the same time, I think that all belief in the paranormal should be quantified to a degree. It's okay to believe something, but you can't believe something just for the sake of believing in it. You have to quantify that it is really something worth that merit. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of a tongue twister, I realize, but you have to, remove the obvious, remove the mundane, and then it can be something fantastical for everybody to marvel over. And perhaps, be able to aim the investigation a little better after having removed other possibilities. So it may allow future investigations to be so much more concise once you've removed a lot of variables. So I think that that's really an important inclusion into tonight's discussion, is that sometimes, like again, MCAT said maybe around 50% are just, silly things. Now, I'm pretty sure that most people that are investigating are doing, for the most part, they're doing a lot of background search to look into the property, to look into, what's going on, what has happened. Is there documented history that needs to be accounted for that may explain why events are happening or why a spirit may be present? Now, a house doesn't necessarily have to have history. There are so many cases of brand new developments on land that doesn't have any history that is known still being extraordinarily haunted. Now, that, I think, speaks to the transitory nature of a lot of entities, that they may not be anchored to a specific place. They may just be there because of some reason. And as in the lead in the show, perhaps somebody in this place reminds them of something. Perhaps the house reminds them of a place that they knew in life. And so they found it. They feel rather comfortable there because of the nostalgia. And so they stay. There doesn't always have to be a big history. There doesn't have to be a series of deaths or tragedies in a house for it to be haunted. A lot of times it's kind of the perfect recipe for it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a deciding factor in whether or not your location could have activity or not. It's certainly one of the things that's looked into initially, in I would say 100% of the cases, everybody looks into the history if they're serious about investigating. But when I'm saying investigating, I guess I'm including just thrill seekers as well. Now, the true investigators are going to do a lot of legwork and background and that. Now, 90% of the people listening to this program may just get a digital voice recorder and go sit in a cemetery some night just to see if some voice will come through. And that's fine too, but in both cases, you still have to take the same precautions. Just because you're not doing a formal investigation at a profound, location like Waverly Hills or whatever that's really known to be severely haunted, even if you're just sitting in your local cemetery, you still have the same spiritual risk because the attachments can come, because it doesn't have to be at a formal investigation. An attachment may come if you're just sitting in a pub having a drink, you know. I mean, it's just good to know how to spiritually protect yourselves, because there are some places where, you know, it's not uncommon to develop attachments. One of which is bars and pubs, and the other is hospitals, that I'm aware of, and you know, of course, jails as well. But places that are so psychically charged like that, and the reason pubs are is because it's believed that a lot of confused spirits hang around bars, because people's auras are weaker when they're partying. Your aura becomes diminished, and you don't have the protection that you normally have, and so you can develop attachments easier. The other place that is similar to that is hospitals, because people are in, you know, altered states a lot of times, you know, whether it's surgical or if somebody's been in an accident and they're just kind of, you know, on the edge of being in real trouble, you know, their energy is weak, and attachments can develop. An interesting story, it's kind of a sideline, but I think it's kind of relevant, is that my cousin was actually in town here visiting a couple years ago around this time of year. And she was talking to me. We got onto the subject of paranormal. Go figure. It seems to be one of my more common subjects. But she was telling me a story of a great friend of hers and her group of friends. They had this one friend that was in this terrible accident, and he was rushed, you know, by, you know, ambulance or helicopter. It was in Colorado, and he apparently died on the table, but was resuscitated. However, when he came back, she said it was weird. It was like he completely changed. And it wasn't long before he just totally cut off all of his friendships, all of his connections, and wouldn't return calls, wouldn't hang out with the friends that he normally always had. And then soon after he, you know, kind of dropped out of contact with everybody, he just moved and didn't tell anybody where he was going. And she's like, it doesn't make any sense. And she said the weird thing is she had a dream where her friend came to her in a dream and, you know, to say goodbye. And she goes, but that doesn't make any sense because he's still alive. And I was like, are you sure he's still alive? Or is somebody else still alive in him? And she immediately went pale, and she says, oh my God. And then she started thinking about all these behaviors, like that makes total sense because he changed. He was not the same guy we knew at all. And his entire behavior, his entire patterns, everything changed. He was this totally different person that had no connection to these people that had been friends for years and years. So very strange. And that is, you know, that's a possibility. But, you know, a weird story, but very cool. Not in a cool, like, oh, wow, that's awesome kind of way, but cool, like, wow, that can really happen, you know. I believe it can. And, you know, I don't pretend to, you know, impress my beliefs upon you guys. Believe what you will, but it does seem to explain certain oddities, like somebody going through a traumatic event and then just coming out absolutely changed. You know, you expect something of the person you knew to be in there, you know, and granted, there can be events that damage people and they want to change because they don't want to be reminded of whatever it was that was so traumatic, and I understand that. But to, you know, just completely change, become a different person, create different, you know, cut all the ties that meant so much before, just didn't make any sense. So, strangeness, it's all around us, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we call it paranormal. All right, so let's get to the next one. And we got about 6 minutes left. My God, it goes fast. All right, this is another really long one. Why do they do this? I'm just looking for good ghost hunting stories here. Okay, this one sounds like a weird title, but let's see what it says. No, that's another one of those. My God. There's this one person that submits all these really in-depth ones, and he does a phenomenal job of documenting these accounts and encounters, but wowzers. It's nearly too much. Dub. Hey, Dub. Been listening and just joined chat. Well, thanks for stopping in. Good to see you. Okay. This is a great opener. It was a dark, cold March night. In 2005, when I traveled to participate in a paranormal investigation with a group of ghost hunters from the Yorkshire region of the UK, it was just before I had gone down a path of running my own ghost hunting company, and it was my fourth ghost hunt, and the adrenaline was pumping through my veins as we descended the cobblestone road, treading really carefully so as not to slip because it was incredibly slippery. And we had parked our cars in the car park. However, when we then had a treacherous 1,000-meter walk down a steep slope to our vigil area, an old abbey that had been destroyed by King Henry VIII men during the Dissolution of Monasteries Act in 1536. And there wasn't much left of the abbey now. There are some pillars that are about 20 meters tall, masonry laying strewn in various areas of the land. In particular, there was a section with a roof that was kind of built into some caves, which hid us from the elements on this evening that had, by coincidence, been a full moon. As the wind grew ever more strong during the proceedings, we had some spikes on the EMF meters and in a vigil we could see the most extraordinary lights from in and around some of the brickworks that was fenced up. The most sobering thought regarding the light phenomena was that we were the only people around, and we were 200 to 300 meters below the road. What caused these bizarre lights? We couldn't guess. The highlight of the night was when we were all in the sheltered section of the abbey. We began to call out for spirit communication while recording with a tape recorder, and what happened next sends chills down everyone's spine, and still does to this day. It is still one of the most puzzling voice phenomena I've ever heard. After calling out for a length of time, we then played the tape back. With total amazement, we could hear our group calling out. However, in the background, we could hear unbelievably monks chanting in what can only be described as Latin in the background, with what seemed like wooden plates being placed on a wooden table. And even as I write this, it still sends chills down my back. Unfortunately, we deleted the recording. Oh, no. To our dismay, a few days later, whilst trying to show some friends the evidence. Oh, no. Back up, ladies and gentlemen. Even now, my wife still debates whether it was residual energy trapped in the brickwork or was it a visitation. One thing's for sure is we intend to visit again when the weather gets a little warmer. And I don't know if they ever did or not, because that's what we got. But now that's a great question, residual or intelligent. That's a tough one. It's hard to know. But I think that about wraps up our show for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it. It was definitely a journey, and I hope that you might have gleaned some information to help you on your journey if you decide to do some investigating. But if you have any questions or you have any accounts of your own that you'd like to share, by all means, call in during the show. But if you'd rather just email me, again, it's paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. And if you want to help support the Paranormal Portal, you can do so with the kindness of your heart if you go to paypal.me/paranormalportal. Help me keep the lights burning. So, love you all. I hope you've enjoyed it. Again, tomorrow night, right at 7 p.m. Pacific time, Jim Mount will be joining me here on the portal, and we will be going into his experiences and his journey as not only a UFO researcher, but also a contactee. And I'm really looking forward to that. Jim's an incredibly intelligent guy. He's got some great photographic evidence, so we will definitely post those in the TFR chat room, and as well as showing them on YouTube, with his permission, of course. But if you're listening on iHeart, TuneIn, or TalkStream Live, definitely check out the YouTube feed later if you can't at that time. But it's just going to be a great show, and I'm really excited to have him on. He's got a really great perspective and has seen some incredible things. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. But again, stick around after the show tonight. Nikki Colombo will be taking over here on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live as she goes into her journey. And just, again, an amazing show. You're going to love it. She is just a bright light. That's all I could say. You listen to her and you smile. She's just got that wonderful personality and charm. So definitely check it out if you haven't heard Nikki's show before. You're going to love it. She's a pretty amazing lady. So, but again, we'll be back tomorrow night. And then later on, Jimmy Jean will be coming on here on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, TalkStream Live with Brandy and Rio for Into the Microcosm here on the radio. So full pack Friday night for you guys. But love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. And we'll see you tomorrow night here on the Portal.